Tuesday, November 1st, 2022, 7:01 p.m. City of Somerton regular council meeting. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pero mira, no. Yes, agarras estos. It's okay as long as it's not near my work, porque I go to those parties. Así que.
Vice Mayor, we can hear you.
Sorry.
Roll call.
Mayor Gerardo Anaya,
Present.
Vice Mayor Miguel Villalpando,
Present.
Councilmember Luis Galindo,
Present.
Councilmember Jesus Roldan,
Present.
Councilmember Martha Gonzalez, Councilmember Juan Castillo,
Present.
Councilmember Lorena Delgadillo.
Present.
Mayor, have a quorum.
Thank you. We're going to move on. Call to the public. Anybody from the public wishing to address council?
Vicky Anaya, if you could please state your full name and address, please.
Vicky Anaya, 1055 South Bingham Avenue, Somerton, Arizona. Good evening. Today, I just want to thank you for taking into consideration of the proclamation for diabetes awareness. It's been, tomorrow's going to be 2 years that diabetes hit our family. And, you know, just bringing the awareness and letting the community know about symptoms or just lookouts. So thank you very much. Diabetes just doesn't only affect older people, it affects all ages. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public wishing to address council? Okay, we have two proclamations. One is Alzheimer's and Caregiver Awareness Month. Whereas the city of Somerton recognizes the importance of Alzheimer's and related dementia care, and whereas Alzheimer's and related dementias have a significant impact on the health and well-being of our residents, and whereas more than 150,000 Arizonans live with Alzheimer's, which is the fourth leading cause of death in the state, and whereas more than 257,000 Arizonans provide 501 million hours unpaid care to their loved ones living with dementia, and whereas Arizonans are actively engaged in educating about the disease, advocating for a proper continuum of care, and improving the training and care of patients with Alzheimer's disease and related dementias, and whereas the city of Somerton supports an Arizona without Alzheimer's addressing this public health crisis. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Gerardo Anaya, Mayor of the City of Somerton, do hereby proclaim November 2022 to be Alzheimer's and Caregiver Awareness Month in this community, and engage all our residents to learn about Alzheimer's, related dementias, and patient care. And we have a member from WACOG Council. And we have our second proclamation, National Diabetes Month, which is going to be read by City Clerk.
National Diabetes Month. Whereas over the last 20 years, our nation has seen a significant rise in the number of adults diagnosed with diabetes, a chronic condition that can lead to heart disease, kidney disease, vision loss, and other serious health problems. And whereas today more than 34 million American adults are living with diabetes and an estimated 88 million more may be at risk for developing the disease. And whereas during National Diabetes Month, we draw awareness to all forms of this dangerous condition, including type 1, type 2, and gestational diabetes, prediabetes, and recommit ourselves to finding a cure. And whereas 2021 marked the 100th anniversary of the discovery of insulin, a crucial hormone that has saved millions of lives. And whereas the city of Somerton urges all citizens to work together to lower healthcare costs, expand coverage, and find a cure for diabetes as we commemorate this important discovery and recommit ourselves to improving treatment for all types of diabetes. And whereas while the national authorities continue to seek a cure, here at the city of Somerton, we strive to improve our awareness and prevention of all types of diabetes. The city encourages lifestyle changes, including increased physical activity and healthy eating, which can prevent or delay diabetes for people at high risk. The city of Somerton is committed to providing spaces for increased physical activities, such as our multi-use pathways, and promotes recreational youth sports for our families. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Gerardo Anaya, Mayor of the City of Somerton, Arizona, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2022 to be National Diabetes Month and call upon all Somerton residents, school systems, government agencies, nonprofit organizations, healthcare providers, research institutions, and other interested groups to join in activities that raise diabetes awareness and help prevent, treat, and manage the disease.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to, there's no consent agenda. No. And is there a motion to enter public hearing?
So moved.
A motion by Councilwoman Delgadillo, second by Councilman Roldan. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. The item before you on the agenda is a presentation and public hearing for Preliminary Plat Case PLN22-00016, a request by Vega and Vega Engineering PLLC on behalf of Somerton Properties LLC for the approval of the preliminary plat of the proposed Somerton 1898 subdivision to be located at Assessor's Parcel Number 21104024, a 9.75 acre parcel generally located on the southeast corner of Main Street and Tumbaga Loop. Mayor and Council, I am going to pull up a map of the there we go. Mayor and Council, the developer is proposing a new R15 single family subdivision at the subject parcel, which is right here, generally located on the at the cross streets of Tumbaga Loop and Main Street. It's a 9.75 acre site. The proposal is to develop it into a 53 lot subdivision with one tract for storm water retention. The property is currently zoned R15, as shown in this map, and meaning this would be the first R15 subdivision in the city of Somerton. The proposed layout, I have it right here. Hopefully you can make this out. Showing the 53 lots and the 1 track for stormwater retention. 2 streets into the subdivision off of Pumbaga Loop. It would be Sunflower Street and Eucalyptus Street alignments. And as shown in the location map, it is adjacent to the future Somerton Elementary School, which is actually something I want to talk about. The proposal itself is pretty standard, but there are 2 unique features to the subdivision. I want to focus your attention on Eucalyptus Street. This is the northernmost street in the proposed subdivision. The developer is actually working with the school district, and they are proposing a joint effort to incorporate a cul-de-sac terminating at Eucalyptus Street to be accessible for parent pickup and drop-off for the new elementary school currently under construction. The school district has committed to donating that right-of-way, and the developer is agreeing to improve it as part of the subdivision improvements. So this would be an additional location for parents to drop off and pick up students at the new elementary school. The other thing that's unique to the subdivision is that the developer is proposing, instead of dedicating the minimum 5% usable open space on site, they are proposing an in lieu financial contribution to the city of Somerton. This is a practice that has been utilized by other developers in recent years, where instead of developing a small park at the subdivision, which has to be turned over to the city for maintenance and upkeep, they would instead donate an amount which is to be determined by the city of Somerton that is deemed appropriate for an in lieu contribution instead of the minimum 5% required by the R15 district. So right now we're working with the developer, and the amount that equates to development of this size falls somewhere between $16,000 and $23,000. So we're possibly a little bit more. That's something that'll be finalized before the final plat stage, final plat approval, if subdivision preliminary plat is indeed approved. Are there any questions so far from Mayor and Council?
Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Saul, how did you guys determine the 16 to 22,000? Because 5% of open space that is required is about half an acre, a little bit shy of half an acre. You could easily put 2 lots, so the value of those 2 lots would be $120,000. So how are we coming up with, in today's market, they're about 60,000. So how are we coming up with 16 to 22,000?
Vice Mayor, you are correct about the area. More or less, the 5% would be about the size of 2 lots. We have a table in our zoning ordinance which identifies the criteria for an area to be considered usable open space. And you can incorporate either grass, turf, ramadas, a picnic table, a playground. There's certain things that you can incorporate to make the space usable. So we asked the engineer if they could provide a cost estimate, an engineer's cost estimate of a similar project in a neighboring municipality. And we use that to base our study off of. So that is, if it seems a little low, perhaps it's the project itself is not, it's only 9 acres, and the open space required, usable open space is only 5%. So it's not going to be a whole lot. This is just the calculation that the end result of the calculation.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of property. I mean, it's half an acre, but irregardless, they're going to generate a profit and a revenue, and it's only fair if their contribution is higher, just because, again, you know, in today's market, lots are about 60,000. That's 120. So they stand to make a lot more money than what their contribution is. And so in order for me to sit here and say, hey, yeah, forego on the 5% that is required by our city ordinance, then why am I? It's got to be a win-win situation, bottom line. And for them to generate all these revenues, and the city only gets 16,000 or 22,000, then give me the open space.
Vice Mayor, thank you for the comment, for the feedback. And I just want to clarify that the financial contribution would be in addition to any improvements that they would be required on Tract A, which is the stormwater retention. So when that retention basin is not flooded, it could be a grassy area for the neighborhood to enjoy. So that would be in addition to that.
So the stormwater retention counts towards that 5%?
No, it's in addition to, Mayor. So there's a minimum requirement of amenities, not amenities, but features that have to be incorporated into the retention basin. It has to be fully landscaped, and it has to have a certain terrain. So perhaps the basin could be incorporated in addition to that.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
On the retention basins, we're trying to go zero scape, especially if they're small retention basins. So I don't foresee myself asking them to do any modifications or upgrades or amenities there in the retention basin, especially if it's a small one that we're trying to go zero scape, along with all these other retention basins that have been identified throughout the city, just to ensure the cost is a little bit lower.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And again, Mayor and Council, this is just the proposal that's being presented. You could very well, as Vice Mayor said, opt to require the standard 5% usable. That's also an option. So after careful review by staff, we did take this preliminary plat to the Planning and Zoning Commission on September 26th. And the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend approval of the preliminary plat with the conditions listed in Exhibit A. In total, there are 15 conditions of approval, and the commission voted to recommend approval with conditions with the omission of condition number 6.
Which is?
Condition number 6, Mayor, was Frank. Let me pull those up here so I can read it to you as written. Number 6 was developer shall rename avenue described as Fraunfelder Avenue to a name easier for children to pronounce and remember per the Somerton roadway addressing policy.
Any questions or comments from the public? From council?
Mayor, one last question. Are these houses for self-help homes through Housing America? Through their any of the programs?
Vice Mayor Villalpando, my understanding is that they are. It would be an identical model as to the adjacent subdivision, the Rollo subdivision, and the builder would indeed be the Housing America Corporation.
Wouldn't be them, but they are going through the self-help program, right?
Actually, Vice Mayor, if I may call upon the builder, he is present. Perhaps he could answer that.
Yeah, the only reason I ask is because obviously when you're dealing with low income, I mean it's a little bit to me it's a little bit different from my perspective. than somebody that is building them for profit. So I'm willing to change my stance on that amount if it is
Vice Mayor,
for self-help
I just
program.
want to remind you, it's a public hearing. The item
Yeah,
or comments or direction is in the regular agenda. So this is more a public hearing where questions from council, but I think we can keep our comments to our regular new business.
Mayor, that concludes my presentation. The applicant is here if you have any questions for them as well.
Any questions from council? Is there a motion to exit public hearing? So motion by Councilwoman Delgadillo. Second by Councilman Galindo. Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Gonna move on to new business. Discussion of possible action related to preliminary plat case PLN22-00016.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, the item before you on the agenda is the action item related to the public hearing item we just heard. The item for preliminary plat case PLN22-00016 for the Somerton 1898 subdivision. As presented, it's for a new subdivision, and staff's recommendation for the preliminary plat case is for approval with conditions as presented by staff in Exhibit A of the report.
Vice Mayor, go ahead.
yeah. Can I hear from the developer now, whether it's self-help housing or not?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Vega with Vega and Vega Engineering, representing the developer. Vice Mayor, yes, this is intended to be a self-help program. All the laws are being committed to Housing America.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vega. That kind of changes my stance. Appreciate you.
Thank you. If I may, too, the reason we are seeking the contribution in lieu of the 5% required, because we know that this has been done on other projects in the city, and we feel that for the area, since is a small subdivision, making the contribution to that park across Highway 95, it will benefit more the area than just putting that money into just the subdivision itself. We feel that that will get more value to that park if we contribute to that, then rather than putting the money into the development itself. So that's why we're seeking that option that has been used on another developments. And I'll be more than glad to answer any other questions council might have.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. As mentioned, staff's recommendation is for approval with conditions listed as the conditions listed in Exhibit A. And I can answer any questions related to any of the conditions of approval if the council wishes to do so. If not, we do have a recommended motion for that.
On the number 6 on your conditional, can you elaborate on that? How did you come about, or what made you think that children cannot pronounce that?
Councilmember Delgadillo, when we have these kinds of cases, we send out a request for comments to internal staff members as well as external agencies, including Yuma County Recorders, Yuma County Assessors, Yuma County Development Services, and as City of San Luis, those kind of agencies. And I received 2 responses that that elaborated on this, just saying that it's more of an opinion more than anything. But when you have 2 professionals who are in this field, in this industry, who see this request and then they see the naming and they think the same thing, that perhaps it's difficult for children to pronounce. These are the experts in this kind of review process. So it led us to believe that perhaps we should take a look at that and consider this condition. It's mostly for the safety more than anything. It's not nothing more than an attempt to make the development as safe as possible for young children. I'm talking 3-4-year-olds who perhaps can't even read, but may have to remember how to pronounce the street that they live in case of an emergency. So that's more or less the rationale behind that condition.
I mean, it's an opinion.
Carmen?
Carmen, can you please?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. The city has an addressing policy, and there is a section, specific section that talks about the way of naming. We have a proper name to naming, not only just adding the names to the streets, but also the numbers. There's a specific technique, if you will, to assign addresses. It's an universal when it comes to putting the numbers of the houses. It's not just, whatever name that comes to mind, that's the one I'm going to sign. There's a specific universal technique. So when the public safety responders are attending those calls, they know that pairs and nuns are on a specific side of the streets, and sort of that way of addressing or assigning addresses. The same thing is for street names. So there's a specific for example, is it west of Avenue F.5? Our addressing policy requires that every single name of the streets are named after trees. I don't know if you knew this, but that's where Acacia name or Acacia Avenue came about. That's specifically about in our addressing policy. So when it comes to names that are hard to pronounce, we're not looking at the history of the name. We know that the Fraunfelder family, it's a well-established family here in Somerton. We're not looking at the history of the name, but at the way that it's being pronounced, what could make it difficult. So basically, that's the addressing policy of the city of Somerton that has been adopted by council.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve with the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to remove condition number 6.
The motion by Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Delgadillo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council.
Item number 2, discussion of possible action to approve Valenzuela Tree and Lawn Care Services invitation for bid to a 3-year contract for landscaping services for various city facilities and retention bases.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. We went out for an invitation for bid to onboard a landscape company for the services as needed in Somerton. We have several trees that are beyond our equipment reach, palm trees, and we're having a problem getting bid quotes for them. So we're trying to onboard somebody to help us out with crown reductions on trees, herbicide spraying, and items like that. So we're trying to onboard a landscape company contract to come in and help us out in those areas, weed abatement, And the properties consist of retention areas, also parks, and related facilities. So it could be streets or public works or parks department anywhere in Somerton. When we had a pre-bid meeting, we had 3 companies attend the pre-bid meeting. JSA and Valenzuela Tree and Lawn Care Service submitted a quote for us. The other one did not. And looking at the quote sheet, there's an itemized quote sheet with different quote pricing on it. And throughout for what we're looking for, I think Valenzuela Landscape meets the criteria better than JSA. And also in this, we're looking at expanding out to the retention areas. We talked about the quality of service in our retention areas. So we're looking at our improvement districts. And JSA, again, did not give us, we gave them a map of all our improvement district and asked them to give us a quote on individual retention areas. Well, we did not receive anything from JSA, but we did receive some quotes from Valenzuela Tree and Lawn Care Services. I might add, they missed a couple of them in there. But it's our budget for the improvement districts is $264,500. And with the Venezuela's quote is $132,000. So, and then we add in the utilities for all the districts, which come out to about $50,000 a year. We're looking at a surplus of $82,500. So it's within our reach of having them service our retentions. And it'll be once a week service that they're providing. And I think you'll see our level of service really increase. The city ourselves have one full-time employee, and then we used DOC contract labor, and we're only getting 3 guys at this time. So we're not able to hit the retentions every week. We probably hit them every 3rd week. And so our level of service really isn't where it should be, as we've all talked before. So staff is recommending approving Valenzuela Tree and Lawn Care Service for a 3-year contract. The contract also, we can dissolve it at any time with a 30-day written notice. And in the contract too, the quotes they give us, they have to keep them firm for the 1st year. They cannot change them. So we're asking for recommending Valenzuela Tree Service come on board with us to help us with our tree and landscape services and help out the retentions.
Any questions or comments?
Well, comment, Mayor. I think it's a good idea, Ron. I know, it takes a lot of employees for those retentions. And we have the money that is coming from those retentions, and contract labor is going to do it. And, that way we can, or Parks and Rec personnel can focus on the parks instead of the retention is going to alleviate that from, a lot of problems.
The idea is we're going to bring the employee over on the park side, but we're down 1 full-time employee, so that'll cancel that out. And then we're running 2 DOC contract labor in the park system, and we are budgeted for 10, so we'll be covered there. So in our services in our park area will increase also.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Mayor, I have a question before we proceed.
Yes, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Hey, Rodney, what's the status of us going zero-scape on these retention bases? Because when I started reading it, it included some of the ones that we had identified going to zero-scape.
Yes, that is something we're going to be incorporating and looking at, and having them, they'll be able to do those kind of jobs with us. We won't have to go out to get bids or anything. They've already given us the numbers that they could do it for. So that is something we're going to be working on and trying to follow that plan that we put together.
Okay, because my concern is signing on to a 3-year contract for those amounts, especially with weekly maintenance, which if we go zero-scape, they don't need a weekly, they're not going to need a weekly maintenance. If anything, I feel that we should have probably gone ahead with either JSA or Valenzuela done xeriscape with the retention basins, and then look at a maintenance contract with either party. Right now, we're going to enter into a 3-year contract. Granted, it can be broken with a 30-day notice, but not after the first year. It's just going to delay our process and our plans in order to do xeriscape in these retention basins.
Well, I think we can still, if we move forward and have them, or they get xeriscape some of these, we can reduce the cost of the weekly service or monthly billing on those, because it's an as needed basis. We can tell them, according to the invitation for bid documents, we can say, you know, we want that now. We don't want you. We want you to quit service on these 3 here and concentrate on the rest. So we can dictate what we do there.
Okay, and that's good to hear, because quite honestly, at least the indication that I got from council from previous conversations was that we wanted to move forward with these xeriscapes. So we've been at it for the last 2-3 years with the prior directors.
Yes, and I can tell you the one that I mentioned they missed is Desert Valley, which is on Bingham, and that's one of the biggest ones. So that's one that we had 2 locations there that we were going to xeriscape. So that would fall right into place with us moving forward with the plan.
Okay, so I just request that whoever makes the motion to approve also puts the language in there in regards to xeriscaping some of these retention basins.
Yeah, we've seen that, you know, a couple of times. I don't remember if it was a work session or regular meeting, but yeah, that was that was the direction that we're going to go and work on a plan. And I think the last that we talked was going to be either a 2-year or 3-year plan, and I don't know where that's at. The other thing is there was there was a breakdown of how much each district was paying, and there were some that were paying more and others less. I don't know that was all ever adjusted, but if not, that's something that staff needs to start working on, because there was one district that was paying for the others, and that's if I'm a resident of those districts, I wouldn't be too happy about it.
Here, what I've done too is I've actually went through all the what they turned in for the retentions improvement districts, and I broke them down by each each budget per retention basin, so that we're not doing that. So, and we're looking pretty good. There's a couple that we're going to have to probably do a modified schedule with them to meet the budget, but it's going to be doable, and we're going to still see a major, we should see a major level of service increase.
And I think this fiscal year we can analyze and then adjust at the end of the year and make sure that we're realistic of what we have, what we're assessing those residents and what we are really getting. If we need to bring it up or down, but that's probably something we need to see the data at the end of the day. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, Mayor, and also add that to continue with the plan for the xeriscape in some of the retention areas.
A motion by Councilman Roldan.
Second.
Second by Councilman Castillo. In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And carries.
Thank you.
Item number 3, discussion and possible action to select and approve a new project site for the planning and building design for multi-use community center expansion project to be designed by Last Architects.
Andrea, can I have control, please? All right, thank you. Where are we? Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council.
During the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the city of Somerton found that it was not prepared for natural disasters or for large-scale emergencies. The city found itself in need of larger meeting places to aid its residents during those hard times. The city lacked a place where residents could receive medical, food, temporary shelter, or other assistance. In 2021, the city council directed city staff to investigate options on how to expand the existing facilities at the community center. On February 2022, the city of Somerton published a request for proposal and request for qualifications, seeking a professional design firm that would provide architectural, engineering, and landscape architectural design services for the Somerton Community Center expansion project. Based on the submittals received, Last Architects was selected as the best qualified to do the design work as envisioned by the city. The first meeting to kick off the project was held on Thursday, August 25th, 2022. On this meeting, it was established that city staff would create a design review committee with the selected members being an essential part of our community. The DRC is integrated by the Parks and Recreation chairman, the two boxing coaches, 2 wrestling coaches, mayor, and council members. To this date, there have been 4 design review committee meetings. In preparation for this project, the city acquired a 85.85 acre parcel located adjacent to the west of the existing community center. The intent is to use this area for parking, building expansion, and a welcome electronic sign to announce city events, emergencies, and community information. The American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, funds received were used to acquire this property, as indicated in City Council approved resolution number 2021-011, August 3rd, 2021. A need of a quality shelter center during community emergencies was one of the main goals and classified as a matter of public necessity in the process. Based on this, the expansion of the existing community center is a qualified project in the ARPA guidelines. If these funds are not used as intended, the city's general fund would have to cover the cost of the land acquisition. On May 10, 2022, during a city council work session, mayor and council directed staff and Last Architects to start with a best alternative comparing 2 city-owned properties, the community center site and the cultural center site. The community center site was selected and work began on the site. The council selected site will allow the city to meet one of the community's visions by adding general community services, recreation, and having available a meeting place for community-related emergencies. In recent weeks, staff has been informed of an additional opportunity for a new site to be home to this community multi-use center project. The new site may potentially be located at the property north of Parkview Commerce Center. And I am here, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council to seek direction from Mayor and Council.
Any questions or comments? We heard this in our work session, so is there a motion? Motion? Consider it, yeah.
So moved to consider the site as a potential project site.
A motion by Councilwoman Gonzalez. Second by Councilman Roldano. Those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 4, discussion and possible action to approve resolution number 2022-015.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Armando Leon, HR Specialist for the city. So before you, we have an item that has been previously discussed. So at the moment, we're looking to amend Appendix B once again of the Personnel Policy Handbook and include the Deputy City Manager position as salary grade 57. And in addition to that, we've attached the job description, has been submitted also for review, and with council's direction, we would like to add this deputy city manager to be considered for the fiscal year 2022-2023 and become part of the organizational structure for the city.
Again, this was another item that we heard earlier in our work session. Any questions or comments from council?
I'd like to make a comment, and it's going to be the same comment I made during our work session, is that the city manager be involved in the hiring process of the deputy city manager. I don't know if we would have to update because Mr. Lozano had sent out some verbiage on that the city manager can't hire, dismiss, or personnel. So, I really want him to have a say-so and input on the hiring of a deputy.
Mayor and Council, of course, I believe the manager can be as involved as you want him to be in the process. The only thing would be that he'd come to council to get your vote on and approval. But yes, definitely he can participate.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
Armando, what's the timeline that we're looking at to fulfill this position?
It's entirely up to the council. It can be as soon as you approve it and give us direction or give city manager direction to proceed. And then that direction would then come to human resources to follow our processes that we have in place to fill the position. The job description is already in place. It's already been placed at a proper pay grade. So really it's just a matter of council giving the green light and saying, go ahead and move forward with filling it.
Okay, well, Mayor, with that being said, I would say let's move forward. I'd say as quickly as possible, maybe opening it up internal and, for 5 days and go from there.
Okay. Yeah, and that would be appropriate.
City manager will give a recommendation to council and council approves. That would be the difference as opposed to the way our handbook is written. He can hire, so he any hiring, and that's for any director, he would have to come. Council approves, right? At least for the first 6 months.
Correct. Yeah, as long as council is in agreement and gives that directive to city managers, certainly that would be built into that process. So typically the involvement from human resources would be to, if we can fill positions both internally first, and sometimes when we don't have viable candidates or sometimes when there's a restructure of a department, we try to fill from within first before we go externally. And if the directive from council is to hire from within first, we can certainly follow that process, and we post it internally.
Yes, go ahead.
So is that a norm? Is that a norm that
it's been a standard practice that we've operated under the last couple of years, and
that you start in-house first and then goes out, or does it go out to general?
It's not always the case. Sometimes some positions, the natural thing is to just post it externally right away, and it doesn't exclude from anybody internally that's interested to apply and be considered. There are certain types of positions sometimes that are sort of like a reorganization within the department, and when there's a reorganization, it's not intended to add an external FTE. You work with the FTEs that you already have in place. It's just a restructure of that department. So sometimes it makes sense from an HR perspective to just post internally because you do not intend to add an additional FTE from external source.
Okay, thank you.
It just depends on the situation.
Mayor, if I may.
Vice Mayor?
Quite honestly, just posted, whether it's internal, external, and Louis can decide. I mean, that's why we hired him. That's why we're paying him the big bucks. We don't get involved. We don't get involved in that unless they're contract employees or at-will employees, I should say.
And that would be appropriate as well.
But city manager cannot hire or fire people. So.
No, but they could make a recommendation though.
Yeah.
And And so whether we sit in the interview process or something, that's I think that's within boundaries, but we don't decide who they're going to hire or how they advertise for that position. That's already set by policy.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, just at least this is something that needs to be done. We, council has, previous conversations has identified the need for an additional body there in administration, especially, the issues that we've had, morale and also policies, procedures, and we need someone that's going to be able to assist in that regard, more in the operations. And of course, city manager, it's going to be the ultimately responsible for that position.
Correct.
If I may, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
For me, the justification on this position is in order to have a backup in case we ever, in case Louis decides to retire in a year. You never know. And so I strongly feel that we need to have a backup in place in order to protect the integrity of operations.
Any other questions or comments?
I just have a I don't know HR. So with the creation of a new position, we're not violating anything by posting it internally first.
No, we've run it by legal before, I believe, and there hasn't been an issue in the past.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
But Vice Mayor recommended to open.
I think it just has to be posted.
Yeah, it has. It is posted. So typically, what I do is I create an internal posting and then just announce it throughout the whole organization. So I sent it through email to all staff, and it goes to every single employee in the organization. There are many organizations and past organizations that I work for. That's standard practice as well.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2022-015.
So motion by Councilman Castillo, second by Councilman Roldan. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
We have two executive session items. And so we're going to do summary of current events and then go into executive session.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members.
Turn this thing on. Now you can hear me. Just in my part before the departments make the report, just wanted to let you know I have a new number, so I'll be sharing that with you and also the email. And I did have a department head meeting today, meeting with the department. So I did want to bring up and have Carmen present some items that she'd been working on. So Carmen, if you come to the front, please. Very good news.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. This week I will continue working on the city manager's transition. There's a lot of information that I need to give to Mr. Galavis a little bit at a time. That way he doesn't get all overwhelmed. I'm also continue assisting HR, Public Works, Finance Department, and everybody else that need assistance this week as part of the daily activities and ongoing projects. And also today, we receive a check for $1,023,624.15 from the Cocopa tribe. And this is paying their fire department services dues for the past 7 quarters. So this brings us up to date in the billing with the Cocopa. So that was one of my requirements, and I did it. Thank you.
Next, Saul, Community Development.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, I just have one item to update you on. We continue working on the zoning and subdivision code update. I've been in communication with the consultant, Michael Baker, and we're looking at scheduling the first community meeting for early December, trying to get it before the holidays. And at this meeting, it'll be really the project kickoff, and that's when the members of the community can come in and voice their opinions and hear what the consultant has prepared up to this point. And simultaneously, in preparation for this meeting, I'm also working on putting together the technical advisory committee. I've sent out an invitation to the local contractor community and local nonprofit communities to get representatives on this committee. And so far, I've successfully added 4 members to the committee. So it's moving along, and we'll be working on that and bringing something to council in the near future. That is all.
Thank you. Mr. Leon, Human Resources, please. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. So we're still actively recruiting for firefighter EMTs, full-time and part-time, police officers as well. I'm happy to report that for the wastewater operator positions, we were down 3 positions and we made 3 offers of employment. So hopefully we'll be fully staffed in those positions within the next few weeks. Parks and Recreation Director, we're in the process of starting actually, we've already completed the interview process for that, and I'm in the process of making an offer of employment, and we're in the middle of that at the moment. Fire Chief, we're probably going to start the interview process maybe next week, as well as we're in the also at the point of starting the interview process for the finance and the finance director position. Public Works, that's still a challenge. We're not getting qualified candidates for that particular position. We have maintenance workers in Parks and Recreation. The city attorney has been posted as well, but that also is not getting any hits. And then in addition to that, we added an administrative specialist part-time and a billing specialist part-time in the finance department. And within 4 or 5 days, I think we had quite a bit of activity in those positions. So I think we'll probably move forward with interviews next week as well. Chief Juarez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and City Manager. It's nice to work with you again. We worked when we were kids, teenagers, I think, at the Boys and Girls Club. So No Shave November is here. So you'll be seeing, I think you probably noticed our officers a little scrubby, having their beard going around for a special cause, Special Olympics. So it's a fundraiser that we do every year. So they'll have a beard till December. The focus beginning November is traffic. Myself, the captain, and the lieutenant are coming out in the morning, making sure that the schools cross guards are that we're there, and that the officers focus a little bit more on the traffic on Main Street, with a lot of the traffic picking up for the winter season. And then the last thing, I'd like to remind the public that our animal control officers are out there. I've asked them to stop giving warnings, because we've had a raise in dog bites. So we're asking the dog owners, the pet owners, to keep their dogs in a leash, especially when they're in public areas, at our parks. We want everybody to enjoy our parks, everybody to enjoy a leisure walk in the afternoon. In the mornings, our kids going to school. So we're asking the public again, please keep your dogs in the leash and keep them in a secure zone if you're going to be out of the house. Thank you.
Then Barnett, Economic Development.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. We are currently promoting Shop Local through SBDC statewide campaign. For all local business owners who would like a flag for your business, please contact our office. We will be glad to provide you with a flag. This week, exciting news this week, actually. Feasibility study meeting for a hotel in the city of Somerton will take place this Thursday. So I believe I had already shared with you that we do have interest for the hotel. We continue to push that, and we finally have that meeting for the feasibility study that will be paid by a private investor. And it seems that there is somebody else interested also in a hotel. So to actually tomorrow at 10 a.m., I have another meeting with another potential developer that has other business partners. So that's 2 interested parties. So we'll see what we can do there. And interest for a new tourism destination business is strong. And I'm currently researching a location that will suit the needs of this potential new business here in the city of Somerton. Thank you.
Rodney, Parks and Rec.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Recreation soccer season has ended. I want to thank Mr. Rodriguez for a well-organized league that he worked on. Had very few complaints. And co-ed's adult softball starts this Friday. We're going to be using Reynoso Field. We just seeded our fields today for winter ride. Staff is working on a football league, and that'll start in January. But between that now and then, we're putting together a football academy. So we're putting that together to get kids excited about football season. Park staff is working on Joe Munoz's skate park lighting project. We are currently seeking quotes for poles and footers at this point. Staff is working on an RFP for the Centennial Park tower lights. We'll hope to have it advertised in a couple weeks. Special events organizing, or special events coordinators organizing the light of Centennial Park, working on the layout and contacting vendors. Also planning the stages of the light parade and working with the Tamale Fest committee as we share the road for the closure that weekend. And our senior center, we continue to operate normal clients between 40 and 45 per day. One bad note that we have, I guess, with the senior center is the van that WACOG was going to give us. They showed up that morning and said, sorry, they don't have the van for us. It was a minivan. It wouldn't work for us. So we haven't received that van. They're still working on it, and we haven't heard back from them yet. So hopefully that'll come someday soon. And at the senior center, we're working with Mary Jones, French Jones, with USDA grants for an ice maker, dishwasher, microwave, and ADA automatic front doors. Thank you.
And Chief Hernandez.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Working with Armando, we are going to be having some testing on Friday. We have 4 applicants that are interested in a full-time position. So hopefully we can hire from there. We are down 2 positions, so we'll have four candidates. I went ahead and submitted an application through WACAMS. We're doing a joint grant with San Luis Fire, and it's for not an AD, it's for a trainer when we get our new soul monitors, and that will be for the paramedics to practice real life scenarios under this new training that we're putting in for. Those of you that are not aware, Eric Carrera will be retiring. He's a director for the YRCS, and he has been very helpful to the fire department and to the police department as well. He has taken care of us and has been very, very helpful since we started with the new radio program and the new computer program, So, and then last Saturday we did have a vehicle fire at the Yepes apartments. The vehicle was fully involved when firefighters got there. They were able to extinguish the fire, and the carport of the apartments did catch some fire, but nothing to the interior of the apartments. So that was taken care of, and that's it. Thank you.
And we also have Andrea.
The general elections are happening next week on Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Somerton Community Center, 805 West Main Street. And our next council meeting will be also having our swearing ceremony for those that were elected at the primary election.
Mayor, Council, that's a report.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank Carmen for standing in as an interim city manager. Thank you. You did an awesome job, and thank you for following up and and making sure that these billings with a Cocoa Paw Nation was completed. And with that note, I'd like to thank also Councilwoman Gonzalez because she did give us a heads up that the billing was not taking place. So thank you, and it goes to show that that networking with our local leaders does help out. That's all I have, Mayor.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Just to notify you guys that the vaccine clinic on October 20th was very successful. We had a little over 100 people attend. The health department thinks that it's going to start picking up because, fall season coming up. The next one is November 17th from same time, 3 to 6 at the Cultural Center. Yes, sorry. And want to invite everybody to the Corn Festival this Saturday. Kickoff is at 11, so if you guys can make it, we'd be more than happy to see you guys. Also, we still need volunteers, so anybody that wants to volunteer, you have my number, call me. Thank you.
Councilman Castillo.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Councilwoman Delgadillo.
I attended the WCOG donation that they did for the senior center for the van, but unfortunately they didn't bring it. But I really want to thank them because they also donated a very expensive stove to the senior center. And I also want to thank Carmen for stepping up, Carmen, and we really appreciate everything you did, and you did a great job. Thank you.
Councilman Galindo. Councilman Roldan.
I attended the Halloween party that the seniors had. Of course, they put me to dance, but I mean, just amazed of how they got dressed and all the things they did themselves. I was a judge for the salsa, and that's a different story. But it was good to having been there in a while, and a lot of hugs and a lot of I guess good vibes from them. There's also sad a lot of seniors that you think you're gonna see them and they're not there no more because passed away. And also I went and with Francisca, and she gave me just the heads up of the things that they got donated. Also some exercise equipment from the WCOG, and I guess they're working together with a new person from WCOG. I guess she's from LA, and she's looking forward working with the Somerton, so helping a lot, and that's good. They were happy to hear that Louis is was gonna be our city administrator, and he worked with them, and so it was good to be there. Also, I received also from WCOG that there's a waiting list for the rent for the ARPA funds, I believe, to help people that are hurting, and right now since October 27th of this year, they stopped. They're not taking any more applications because the funding. So I guess they're waiting. But I believe it's gonna go, instead of WCOG, it's gonna go through DS. So those are the news. So so yeah. And Carmen, muchas gracias for what you did. I know meetings and talking about when I first heard about what happened with our neighbors, Cocoba, it was not too good news. Thank you for getting that, and hearing those news today. It's good. So thank you for what you did for stepping in and helping, following policies, procedures, and working with different department heads, and continue with our city. That talks good about you. So thank you.
I want to thank staff and also the committee that puts on the Corn Festival. It'll be a great event. I wish I could be here for the luchadores. It would be exciting. It's my anniversary, so I'm gonna be out of town. We on Friday with staff we traveled to Mexicali for a prospective business that looks pretty promising. So hopefully we can staff can close that deal. I also met last week with Congressman Grijalva, and some good news for Somerton, and just exploring opportunities that their office could assist us. And so that's something I already talked to our city manager about, some of the opportunities, some of the conversations that we have, and some of the information that they are requesting from us. And Carmen, thank you for everything. It was tough with no directors, interim, and it was, but you kept the ship afloat, and and it was feel that morale, the staff improved. We had somebody that staff can trust, and it was just that bridge for now that Louis here, and now it's his ship to sail. So good luck, Louis. We're excited to have you.
Stick up before and after pictures.
Yeah. He's got the gray hair, so don't claim that you.
Yeah, no real game.
There a motion to adjourn to executive session? So motion by Councilwoman Delgadillo, second by Councilman Galino. In favor? Aye.
Ese ya, si sirvió la pintura que me
Mira, acabo.